Welcome back to This Week in Rights. I am Longi. This is the 31st of January 2025 edition. Today, ZimRights, in partnership with FIDH and OMCT, submitted a report to the UN Human Rights Committee ahead of its review of Zimbabwe's implementation of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, in March 2025. The submission provides a comprehensive analysis of Zimbabwe's compliance with the ICCPR, presenting evidence on the country's legal, human rights, and constitutional framework. The Human Rights Committee will consider this report alongside other stakeholder submissions and issue concluding observations to guide the government on necessary reforms. This week, the country remained constantly focused on the current push to amend the Constitution of Zimbabwe to extend the presidential term. We spoke to lawyer Miriam Majome, and former co-chairperson of COPAC, the body that steered the making of the current constitution.
So if we were more active, and if our state was more responsible, I think it would really go a long way, because we really need to protect our constitution and defend it. Because we don't create this constitution for us, we create it for generations to come. But if we create it, then we start dismantling it, then what are we doing?
As you know, you can't change a constitutional provision of that nature without a referendum. So there's going to be a referendum on whether or not we should extend the president's term. And the law says even if that referendum succeeds, in the sense that people vote yes, there is another clause which says that the resultant extension does not benefit the incumbent. So what they are planning to do is that they are going to change that clause which says it doesn't benefit the incumbent. Now, if that happens, then you have a second referendum. And in terms of the constitution, we made it clear that those two referendums must not be less than 6 months from each other to allow some cooling off period.
This week, the Zimbabwe Republic Police launched an operation targeting pirate taxi drivers and reckless motorists in an effort to restore order on the roads. This follows growing concerns over rising fatal accidents and allegations of police corruption and lack of capacity to address the crisis. ZimRights has welcomed the initiative but has urged the police to carry out the operation in a humane and lawful manner. The organization emphasizes the need for professionalism within the police service and calls for the adoption of technology to enhance efficiency and curb corruption. ZimRights stresses that law enforcement should always serve the public interest and remain within the boundaries of the law. Zimbabwe is hosting an extraordinary SADC summit in Harare today to discuss the ongoing conflict in eastern DRC. ZimRights urges SADC leaders to adopt a human-centered approach in their resolutions, prioritizing the welfare and rights of the affected people over political interests. Additionally, SADC must broaden its focus to include the post-election crisis in Mozambique. That brings us to the end of this week's bulletin. I'll be back next week with more updates. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, and keep standing for human rights.